with the recent announcement of Rift Rivals from Riot Games, this is one of the biggest opportunities for Riot to create some of the best storylines for even the most average of fans to get hooked upon. And I kind of want to compare this to the football rivalries or soccer rivalries of like Manchester and Liverpool or Barcelona and Real Madrid or like the Celtics and Rangers. I mean, these storylines are epic in football. And this is what it looks like Riot is trying to do and trying to create. They're trying to create these compelling views of these teams in a different light and to create a interaction between these fan bases so that they can kind of have something to talk about or to boast or whatnot. And it just creates a more lively atmosphere whenever these teams compete within an international tournament. So Rift Rivals is going to explode in terms of compelling storylines for fans to just gobble up. And these storylines are simple enough for the casual fans to follow, which is the most important point, I think, to show that they want to engage with their casual audience. That Riot Games is willing to kind of break down the barrier just a little bit so that it's easier for these people to access this esport. And rivalries also are known to increase TV ratings and attendance to these games. I mean, whenever Liverpool and Manchester face off against each other, it's just packed. So Riot is doing a good move in this, and it seems like they push storylines a lot anyways, with their Battle of the Atlantic or MSI or All Stars, or just even their broadcasting rights and how they talk about the teams, talk about the roster changes, or just the attitudes of the players, or what's going on behind the scenes, or solo queue picks even. Their broadcasting techniques definitely portray that they want to push the storyline edge of these teams. And with Rift Rivals, I like how it allows exposure for the smaller regions, which, by the way, some of these other regions aren't being broadcasted in English. So you amateur casters should probably jump on that and do a Twitch stream and just start up a English cast to try and look at these games and break them down for the wider audience so that they can watch. And these lower tier teams, though, they still aren't going to get exposure. Lower tier teams from other regions, from CIS or from Latin America, even North America, they aren't going to get exposure because the top three teams from every region is being chosen to go into this Rift Rivals tournament. So and that's kind of different, I guess, from IEM, and that they did get lower tier teams when, of course, top tier teams declined, like G2 or C9 or EDG. So that's kind of a bummer in a sense. But I mean, I think with this, though, it's a really good format because it's going to split the overall skill field. And that's going to be great for CIS or Latin America or Southeast Asia or even NA and EU. I mean, basically, it's just stopping the Koreans from winning everything. And that's always evident with with things like MSI. You have SKT that just won the previous one, and China always does very well too. So this kind of stops it, and it gives every region a piece of the pie to fight for, and something that's very achievable, and that they could say that they are a champion in a specific tournament. So that's kind of cool. But one of the big criticisms I have for it is that the dates overlap, and that basically what it means is you're just going to watch your home region. That's it. You aren't going to tune in into other regions because you don't really have the chance, because all of them are just going to overlap. So you're just going to watch the NA versus EU if you're from NA or if you're from EU. Um, I guess this is only a problem though for the hardcore fans in that they can't just watch a regular tournament where it's a extended format where all the teams are facing off on the same day, or they separate the days, and it I guess it stops the problem of long tournaments interrupting the LCS in the sense that they could just break it all down into one, because I mean, most likely these casual fans, they aren't going to watch all of the teams anyway, so why do they care? And it just interrupts that LCS schedule so that they can't watch their favorite teams while this tournament's going on. So it stops that from happening, which is kind of nice, and it also stops the less popular regions from interrupting the tournament, which I mean, let's be honest, it's pretty nice. No one wants to watch a region that they've never heard about, and a team facing another team that they've never heard about. So I guess in that sense, it stops the slow motion parts of the tournament, which is a really smart idea. And now, since Riot has the infrastructure and the multiple teams and multiple regions, they can finally do this idea now, which they've probably been sitting on for a while. They just had to wait for these rivals to appear, naturally. And by the looks of it, Riot seems like they want absolute control over their esport, and this has been evident through multiple steps of what they've done with OGN and the whole Monty fiasco, or the IPLs and the MLGs being discontinued, and just the broad rights exclusivity of League of Legends, and Riot giving it to ESPN. And the league versus tournament style format itself is kind of evident that they don't want any competitors to have room in order to do a tournament. And then finally, of course, Rift Rivals over IEM. I mean, IEM, so they announced their cancellation of future tournaments for League of Legends, and to be real, like, their production was slacking recently. There were multiple threads on Reddit, whenever an IEM came about, that everyone would point out the production sucks. There's multiple delays, and I mean, maybe it just wasn't even worth it for IEM anyways, because every time an IEM happened, there was a roster change, and all these big orgs, although they're very good, they would have a roster change that would just completely ruin their team synergy, and obviously they're not as good as they were before in the season, so you aren't going to see that organization at the peak of their level. So I guess it's good, and Riot said they won't stop the league schedule for IEM anyways. But the one thing that I will miss is that the lower tier teams could compete in IEM, which was kind of cool to see a team that you've never heard of compete and beat other teams that are very well known. And I guess it just shows that there is actual international competition out there, and that we should not rest on our laurels and forget that. But Rift Rivals, it's a unique opportunity to create a good storyline, and I think that's the most that we should take from this tournament. And Riot can force these teams to go, which is kind of good. I mean, it always allows for a good tournament, unlike IEM, where they give invitationals and people can decline. So forcing these teams to go, I mean, it sounds like slave work, but at least they are doing it at a time to where the teams have an off time, and also they're canceling the IEMs. So it's just basically replacing that time anyways, and it's making it shorter because these tournaments, they're going to be shorter than the IEMs because they have less teams anyways. Or you just don't have to watch the bad teams play. I don't actually know if it's correct that IEM is longer than Rift Rivals. I don't know, but it's a smart decision overall. for the league's growth and just for a casual fan to clutch on to something, you know. And it's unfortunate that we can't get another tournament host to provide a different viewpoint or a different style, you know, different casters or different formats or lower tier teams. And one thing that I dislike about the community perception is that every tournament has to feature the best teams possible. I mean, not every tournament does, and sometimes it is exciting to see these lower tier teams come out of nowhere and face off against the big dogs. I mean, Counter-Strike is the perfect example of the majors and the minor tournaments that they have. You know, you have teams that you've never heard of competing, and you can choose to watch those or not. And that's the advantages of tournament style competition, and that also teams can choose to take a break kind of whenever they want. You know, they can choose to just only go to these major tournaments if they're a big organization. So, but overall, I think Rift Herald or Rift Rivals is a good idea, and well, Rift Herald's another story with the new rework, but Rift Rivals, good idea, good on Riot. Kind of sucks that IEM, you know, doesn't get another chance, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the storylines that are gonna entail, and hopefully NA crushes EU. But anyways, if you guys like the content or whatnot, give me a shout out on GG Azento or subscribe to the video. I'll see you guys next time.